Hey guys, so right out of the gate, sorry if the lighting and positioning of the video feels a little awkward. It's just one of those things again where I'm house sitting for my family and I'm house sitting for my family for a week. So yeah, for the first week, you're gonna see a couple of my videos look like this. But getting into the review itself of One Piece episode 1024. And so, and right from the jump, I will say I'm a little bit torn on how Toei handled the Oden parts of this episode, because on one hand, spending more time building up the Yakuza's collective grief, shock, and disbelief at seeing Oden alive does give the reveal in itself and this added sense of suspense and even tragedy at how much like you can tell in this episode the Yakuza want to believe it's him. Like they're holding on hope that he's alive and that he's really there before them. And we of course and building up to the actual reveal, we know it's not. And but even knowing but that in itself even just adds even more to the soul cruelty of this situation in this regard. Having said that, the fact that the anime played it a little fast and loose with the actual reveal of it being Kanjuro is kind of telling of what Toei did here. Like they technically did give us the reveal, but they pulled back just short of the confrontation itself. But it's like it's them like spacing out certain moments to adapt in future episodes. And to be fair, it's one of the more clever tricks of spacing out an episode's adaptation, but it's just felt a little pointless in order to leave out like the actual in order to only give us like the start of the confrontation a bit in this case. When they could have just like gone like I think kind of gone all the way with it, or at least even adapted like more of the confrontation with Kanjuro. But that then itself. Again, though, going back to the thing I did like about it, though, on top of like the actual build up, like allowing more time to settle in the moment of Oden's return, I like how how letting the tension build for so long also added this like eerie feeling. Like we know obviously again something is off right from the jump. But by allowing the moment to stew for so long, the more uncomfortable and disturbed I felt just watching the whole scene unfold. And this is also a case of something I talk about often, which is just how much voice acting helps, just how much voice acting and music helps a scene, and how every word Kanjuro's like Oden duplicate spoke on top of the soundtrack just made everything he did and say feel so wrong, and that's despite the contrast of the uplifting musical score. Like just having Oden's uplifting musical score be playing in the background, it weirdly just made it feel all the more wrong. Like this, even if it looks like Oden, it is not Oden. Like even after the reveal, it's like this is all wrong. It should not be going this way. And I love how it was all. And ultimately, I do like how it was thanks to Toki's words that brought them kind of all back down to that harsh reality that for however much they want to believe it, however much they want Oden to still be alive, her words cut through the veil that above all through the veil of deception that for as much as they want Oden to be alive and well, the fact of the matter is death is one thing that cannot be altered, whether through power or prayer or anything else. Like death is a constant no matter what happens. Now, with that said, I did absolutely love the development from Momonosuke, just from him like admitting his weakness. Like, yeah, he's a child with an influential name, but at the end of the day, he still is just a child. And the one thing, one thing everyone has kind of gotten wrong in this whole ordeal is building up his importance by virtue of him being the son of Odin. Like, the only ones who even remotely seem to have gotten this idea is Luffy and Ashura Doji, who put more worth on his actions than who he was. But everyone else, whether they've known it or not, have put so much value on Momonosuke without knowing it, or without ever like considering their own value to this cause, or their own value, their own worth, their own ideals, and how that can swing the tide of battle itself. And even when they do put value on themselves, it's still under the guise of Odin's banner, which is fine to fight for a cause, but you must develop your own resolve to fight, which I think is ultimately the thing that did cause the Akaze 9 to lose, and what Kaido was trying to teach them through his fight against them, which is that, yes, although they did technically have the resolve to face him, they were still acting through Oden rather than fully tapping into their own potential, their own strengths. It's the same deal here. Momonosuke is like realizing that in order for Wano himself to truly move forward, he has to rely on his own abilities, his own power, his own resolve, because anything short of that will result in nothing but Wano's complete and total subjugation. No second chances left. Of course, we also had a look from Yamato when Momo like transformed. You can see the wheels in her head turning. That display in itself shows that he not only does have the power, but there is going to be a use for it. And yeah, it's like I do like how Momonosuke is slowly realizing that, yeah, he does need to step up more than what he's been doing, and he needs to find a way in order to fight, even if he is just a kid. Of course, we also do learn the truth behind the Smile Fruit, Momonosuke, which is that it was a fruit created by Vegapunk using Kaido's blood. And yeah, this is one of the things that I do love about One Piece, which is that the little details. When we were first introduced to the concept of Smile Fruits, it was very much a roll of the dice of which animal form power you'd get, if you'd even get one at all. So naturally, Momo becoming a dragon kind of fell into the exact same thought process of, okay, yeah, you rolled the dice and you became a dragon. But when a hammer like this is dropped, it suddenly makes even more sense that it did than it did before. It is definitely hilariously ironic how CP0 and Vegapunk considered Momo's power to be a failure, when it's really the only Smile Fruit that has allowed the wielder to achieve a full body transformation. Like when you look at all the other Smile Fruits and all the Smile Fruit eaters, every single one has only been able to achieve a partial or deformed transformation, not a full body transformation. It's only ever made them into part human, part animal. But here, Dr. Vegapunk's failure ended up achieving full body transformation, and that in itself is honestly even more worth than just anything else. Is worth more than just anything else. And yeah, Raizo and Ashura were the true MVPs of the episode, not only for trying to convince the others of the reality of Odin's return, but just going so far as to take one for the team in order to expose Kanjuro's deception. And it is thanks to them throwing themselves at the Oden duplicate that they were finally able to wake the other Akaze members up and regain the resolve to fight. And I also like how we do see Kiku acknowledge that, yeah, it is kind of his fault for failing to make sure he finished off Kanjuro when he had the chance. He did have a moment where he did. I think we can say with certainty he did have a moment where he did in fact falter in the final moments of their battle. And although Kanjuro admits it was still enough to where he's likely not to survive, it is also very telling of just how committed Kanjuro is, that he doesn't care if he dies here or not, so long as he opens up the pathway for the Kurozumi to rule over Wano forever. However much we may hate both Kanjuro and Orochi, they are fighting for the same thing, to preserve the honor and legacy of their chosen lord. And it's something when it's something when I'm forced to say that the final scene in the episode with the fight against Big Mom and Kaido does feel like the most boring part. Like, still epic in how it was animated, but yeah, not the final moments of this episode were just not as compelling as everything else going on around it, or at least compared to the rest of the episode. The only noteworthy thing is the Alliance finally brought up the idea that they should have been doing from the beginning, which is separating the two. And now that it is happened, now that they have the idea, although they're probably going to implement it, but like if the preview is any indication, it's probably too late as well. So yeah, might be a little too late on that, guys. But yeah, that's pretty much all. But that's all I got for this one, guys. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. Follow me on Twitter, Analyst Crunchyroll. Be sure to notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and just share the video around, guys. Dark Knight of May, signing off. Later, everyone.